Hello, hello. Day 53 of 100. These days are just going by really fast, and so is our progress. We're finishing up on the last few bits of React and Redux before we get to move on to the projects, which is going to be super exciting. And I can't wait to actually get into that. But for now, we need to finish up the last four, I believe it's 4 modules on React and Redux. So let's get into that, shall we? Today we're going to be connecting Redux to React. Now that you've written both the map state to props and the map dispatch to props functions, you can use them to map state and dispatch to the props of one of your React components. Because remember before we used to dispatch to state, now with React and Redux can dispatch to a prop, and then we can use that prop inside of a component to render UI elements. So the connect method from React Redux can handle this task. This method takes 2 optional arguments, map state to props and map dispatch to props. They are optional because you may have a component that only needs access to state, but doesn't need to dispatch any actions or vice versa. To use this method, pass in the functions as arguments and immediately call the result with your component. This syntax is a little unusual and looks like connect, map state to props, map dispatch to props, my components. Oh, it's almost like currying, isn't it? If you want to omit one of the arguments to the connect method, you pass null in its place. The syntax is definitely very interesting. The code editor has the map state to props and map dispatch to props functions and a new React component called presentational. Connect this component to Redux with the connect method from the React Redux global object and call it immediately on the presentational component. So we need a map state to prop state messages state. We got a dispatch there. So we need to do connect, map state to props. We have a map dispatch to props, and then the component is going to be presentational. And there we go. Assign the result to a new constant called connected component that represents the connected component. Oh, because they're calling it on a... Right. So we should do const connected. Hold on. Connected component equal to... Wow. How did it do that? Interesting. If we change this to null... Okay. That didn't change. Change this to null. That didn't change. And if we change both to null... What? Changing it doesn't change anything. That's crazy. Crazy cool. There we go. And then let's proceed. Connect Redux to the Messages app. Now that you understand how to use Connect to connect React to Redux, you can apply what you've learned to your React component that handles messages. In the last lesson, the component you connected to Redux was named presentational, and this was arbitrary. This term generally refers to React components that are not directly connected to Redux. They are simply responsible for the presentation of UI and do this as a function of the props they receive. By contrast, container components are connected to Redux. These are typically responsible for dispatching actions to the store and often pass store state to child components as props. The code editor has all the code you've written in the section so far. The only change is that the React component is renamed to presentational. Create a new component held in a constant called container that uses connect to connect the presentational component to Redux. Go ahead and do that quickly. So we need to create a new component held in a constant called container. Where do you want me to do that? Here. Define the container component here. So const container that uses connect. So connect So how this one works is we needed two things. We needed map state to props and map dispatch to props. Let's go map state to props and map dispatch to props. Then, next to it, to connect the presentational. Yeah? Then, in the app wrapper, render the React Redux provider component. Do we remember that? Provider. Where do we do that? In the return, I think it was? And we need to pass it store. Remember that. It can't be self-closed from what I remember. So we need container. Why do I keep forgetting to close it? Whoa! Look at that, guys. So we've connected Redux to React. We have our container, and we've rendered the provider in that has the container. This is so cool. How cool is that? Yay! We did it! Oh, that was fun. It's amazing how the brain works. Yesterday I just couldn't. I couldn't do any of this. And get some rest. have a really good night, enjoy myself, and then come back, and then suddenly none of this is really an issue anymore. Brain is a curious thing, huh? All it needs is a bit of rest.
EMD is following the family.
EMT! Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for the follow, I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. How you doing, MT? Oof, this one looks like a big one, huh? Geez, what more? We've connected the store, we've connected Redux to React. Extract local state into Redux. You're almost done! Yay! Recall that you wrote all the Redux code so that Redux could control the state management of your React Messages app. Now that Redux is connected, you need to extract the state management out of the presentational component and into Redux. Currently you have Redux connected, but you are handling the state locally within the presentational component. Right, here. There's state. In the presentational component, first remove the messages property in the local state. Okay, so you want me to get rid of messages? Done. These messages will be managed by Redux. Next, modify the submit message method, so this one, so that it dispatches submit new message from this.props. Yeah, because here we use setState. We need a dispatch. How do we dispatch again? I think it was just dispatch. Something else. You would have store.dispatch, but since we already have store, it's literally just the function. Is it just... Wonder. That's map dispatch to props. That's submit new message and add message. Isn't that what we want? That calls add, that's submit. Shouldn't we be calling add message? Modify the submit message method so it dispatches submit new message from this.props and pass in the current message input from local state as an argument. Oh, okay, so it is. So submit new message. Do we have a method already called that? Oh, we do. Hold on. Yeah. Which takes message as an argument. And dispatch add. Yeah, so I was right, it was that one. Okay, so we're going to dispatch submit new message, and we're going to take this.state and pass in the current message input from local state. Current, the input. So this.state.input. We're probably going to have to clear it, aren't we? Because you removed messages from local state, remove the messages property from the call to this.setState. Oh, the messages one? Remove the messages property from the call to this.setState. Yeah. Okay. That goes here as well. Finally, modify the render method over here so that it maps over the messages received from props rather than state. Okay. What is the prop called? Messages? I think it's messages, right? This.props.messages, there we go. So let's test it. Okay, not working yet. Are we missing just one thing? Because that's rendering now. What am I missing? This.props.messages.map message index. This.props, is it? Should be, yeah, it's passed as a prop, right? But it's not submitting. It could be... now dispatch. Dispatch, submit new message, this.state.input, and then this.setState. We create, turn it blank again. Okay, it must be an issue here. Reason being is setState is not turning blank. It's not running this. If I comment this out, yeah, so it was our dispatch. Let's check the console log. Maybe we have some errors. No errors in console. Okay. What are we calling? Oh, do you think it could be because we need to call this .submit new message? No. Oh, wouldn't have anyway, because it's map dispatch to props. Which is dispatch. Submit new message is the property, which is actually a function. So you call submit new message and you pass in this.state.input. Should be fine, shouldn't it? And then it returns dispatch add message. Hold on, but that calls dispatch. Shouldn't I actually be calling map dispatch to props? No, that's a constant. No, it's a function, and you pass in dispatch. Hey, Cookie Bow. Oh, how's it going? I haven't seen you around before. So many new faces. It's good to have you here. I think this is wrong. I don't think I called dispatch, because dispatch gets called when you call this. So I have to map dispatch to props if I'm not mistaken. Now what does map dispatch to props need? It's a function that takes dispatch as a parameter. So I need to call submit new message.
Cookie Bow is following the family.
Hey, Cookie Bow, welcome to the family. It's so good to have you. Let me see. I think this should work. Nope. Interesting. What are we missing? It's... Huh. It feels like it's a small... something small that we're missing. Like really small. I just realized the whole point is it uses props, right? are we passing in props? So shouldn't this technically be this.props? Submit new message. And then we pass in this.state.input. Because it is a prop. Submit new message. Because map dispatch to props. And to access props, you just go this.props. But submit new message is not defined. Hey Cookie, so what am I working on? I'm actually doing, I think this is the last bit on React and Redux. We had a little message app that you can type into the box and hit submit, and then it basically creates a list for you. Every time that you input something, it adds that input to an array, and it splits the array for each item using map and creates a list item for it. Now, it was working before because we handled state locally inside the component, but we've removed that now to incorporate Redux to have a single store. And I just need to somehow figure out a way to dispatch that message. Calling submit new message. Sorry. But that doesn't seem to work because this.props. Wait. Isn't it then dot submit new message? Hey, there it is. There we go. So that's basically how it works. We call a message. Yay! So your input goes in the box. You hit submit. It clears the input by just setting the state to empty, but not before submitting that message to the store, which adds it to an array using concat. And then this is basically an array of items that gets split into list items. And it works. Okay, I gotta remember that. So it's this.props because it's a prop, submit new message. That was a little bit confusing because I'm so used to doing things with React, and then Redux is a little bit different because you work as a prop instead. And do we have success? We have success! Hey! I'm sitting here making my first WordPress theme. I'm still a super noob. I had to take a break. Wow, that's awesome. A WordPress theme. I remember how those things used to have me scratching my brain so many times. I just couldn't figure it out. And some of them are like so complex. You think like, what the hell is going on? But yeah, are you having fun at least, Cookie? You enjoying it? And hello to all the other people. It's so good to have you here. As always. But yeah, what do we got now? Ooh! The final challenge. Can we do this? If we pass this, we get to move on to the projects. Wowee. I'm excited. Here we go. Moving forward from here. Congratulations! You finished the lessons on React and Redux. There's one last item worth pointing out before you move on. Typically, you won't write React apps in a code editor like this. No, I would be pulling my hair out. VS Code, please. This challenge gives you a glimpse of what the syntax looks like if you're working with NPM and a file system of your own machine, on your own machine. The code should look similar except for the use of import statements. These pull in all of the dependencies that have been provided for you in the challenges. The Managing Packages with NPM section covers NPM in more detail. Finally, writing React and Redux code generally requires some configuration. This can get complicated quickly. If you're interested in experimenting on your own machine, the Create React app comes configured and ready to go. Oh, I remember that, yeah. You just like, you just grab that and you have everything that you need, and you can just delete whatever you don't need. The boilerplate, I think they refer to that as. Alternatively, you can enable Babel as a JavaScript preprocessor in CodePen, add React and React DOM as external JavaScript resources, and work there as well. Yeah, Babel's pretty cool because you can also transpile down into lower versions of JavaScript if you're using like ES6, but you know, some new features aren't supported yet. Log the message, now I know React and Redux, to the console. Imagine we fail this. Console.log. Now I know React and Redux. Do I really though? Do I really? So we import React from React, import React DOM from React DOM. These are all files, obviously, so they would have JSX or JS file extensions. So we're just importing those functions. Import provider connect from React Redux, import create store, combine reducers, apply middleware. Those are 3 things we worked on from Redux. Import thunk from Redux thunk, import root reducer from Redux reducers, import app from components app. Const store equal to create store, root reducer, apply middleware, React DOM.render, provider store, and then our app is, see, our app is, no! Our app is rendered, with the provider obviously housing all of our, what do you call it, state inside of it. And then we get the element root. That's weird, but where's the rest of it? We'd have to render the DOM to that. Oh, it is. Sorry, I did see this was a render statement here. The first bit is what to render, and the second bit is where to render it. That's cool. Whew. And that's it, guys. We're done. We've finished it. Wow. All that's left is the projects now. Yeah, I like it. I'm thinking of starting a tech blog about Linux, Arch Linux or whatever. Haven't decided on a name though. Fun with Linux. Arch Linux, like something weird. Yeah, that's cool. Think of something creative and just come up with it. That'll be really awesome. And you can also write your articles on Medium. I posted one the other day. It's pretty cool, like the amount of reach that you have already because of the tags and whatnot. You can always like share them between both sections. And DevTo, really great site. A lot of developers there, really active. Ooh, so we're actually going to build stuff now. This is strange and weird because I really don't feel that I don't know, like, oh, it's going to be interesting. But you know what? Let's just jump straight into it. Oh boy! We're going to be creating our own project. We need to build a random quote machine. Okay, so our objective is to build a CodePen IO app that is functionally similar to this. What is this? Oh, they're using Modal. Oh, fancy. That's pretty cool, huh? I like that. Fulfill the below user stories and get all of the tests to pass. Give it your own personal style. You can use any mix of HTML, JavaScript, CSS, Bootstrap, Sass, React, Redux, and jQuery to complete this project. You should use a front-end framework like React, for example, because this section is about learning front-end frameworks. Additional technologies not listed above are not recommended, as using them is at your own risk. We are looking at supporting other front-end frameworks like Angular and Vue, but they are not currently supported. We will accept and try to fix all these issue reports that use the suggested technology stack for this project. Happy coding. So we got 11 user stories. Do we want to use CodePen? I'm thinking I wanna do this locally. I want to do this locally. And then we can obviously always import to CodePen afterwards. It's just, I'm so used to editing with VS and just, I don't know. CodePen is... Yeah, CodePen is CodePen, huh? Don't I have a NPM package manager already? As one of my extensions? Yeah, I do. So we can npm install. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a new folder. Let me go do that quickly. Under JavaScript projects, it's not projects. This is studies. FCC JavaScript projects? No, this is FCC React projects. Is it React projects or... Hold on. It's front end. So FCC front end libraries projects. There we go. And then the first one is going to be random quote machine. There we go. And then let us create a workspace. Am I in a workspace currently? No, I'm not. So let's add folder to workspace. Cool. And then in our console, probably need an index, don't we? Let's go ahead and create that quickly. Index.html. So that we have that at least. And then can I run npm in here? Yeah, I can. So npm install, what was it again? React app, I think? Was it React app? I think it was. Hmm? 4.4 not found? What? Hmm? Okay, I think I know what's going on. Let me just switch this. Let's try that again. My firewall sometimes ends up being... Okay, maybe it's not that. Was it hyphenated maybe? React hyphen app? It was create React app. That's what it was. Okay. npm create React app. There we go. Now my antivirus is being overzealous. Again, please. There we go. Now we good. Okay, so we should have see what we have now. Okay, so now that we have that, we now need to bring it to our folder. Is apparently npx. I haven't worked with that before. So npx create react app. We're gonna call this random quote machine. Oh, it already does it in this folder. I see, I see. Let this finish. Ooh, there's quite a few things that it comes with, isn't it? This is exciting though, because this is the first time I've ever done this. Actually use npm to install a React. Full React project like this. So we got React, React DOM, React scripts. We're probably gonna have to bring in Redux as well. Surprisingly, it hasn't asked us to do that as part of the requirements. Or did it? But we'll do it anyway, just so that we can work on that. State. Although, I don't think we need Redux in this example. It's very simple. We're just going to be dishing out quotes. Jeez, how long does this take? And I wonder how much of it is actually required. Because I saw something about emojis, and I'm like, we just need a bare bones like app working. All you need is React, React DOM. I think there were two others. For those of you that work with React, does it take this long? We're like about 60% through. There are so many node modules. Array.reduce. There's just so many modules. Wow. Doesn't that feel a bit bloated? Like there's more complexity here than in the entire project that we're going to be creating. Oh my god. I'm gonna Google why it takes so long to install in the meantime. Maybe there's something I missed. Maybe in the future it will be quicker because there's caching? Oh, we're done. Happy hacking. Yay! So npm start starts a development server, but we don't really need that because we got a live preview. Do we though? Yeah, no, I don't think we do. npm run build bundles the app into static files for production, which we'll do afterwards when we're finished. npm test starts a test runner, and an npm run eject removes this tool and copies build dependencies, configuration files and scripts into the app directory. Okay, then we can't yeah, I guess that's when you're done with everything. Well, that's it, except we messed up a little bit because we got random quote machine inside of random quote machine. So let me go and fix that real quick. I think. Gonna move that out like that, and then get rid of that. Close that. Close VS Code real quick. JavaScript projects. Close that. There we go. Bring our VS Code back. There's our quote machine. Wait, no, that's gone. Hold on. We need to add folder to workspace. There we go. Get rid of this one because it doesn't exist anymore. There we go. Okay, public. Is that how it works in this? Because you see, FCC didn't teach us anything, did they? There's source. Where do you work in? Because this is all the boilerplate, right? Oh, and this is test cases. It renders without crashing. Oh, I like that. This is CSS for it. That's the JS. Wow. This is all a bit confusing. I feel very underwhelmed, FCC didn't prepare us for this. Then again, it was us taking the initiative to work with this locally instead of just using CodePen where everything's done in the background. But I feel like we're going to learn the best this way, aren't we? There's just a lot of boilerplate. At this point you're on your own. It sounds like we need to eject, then we won't have all these files, I feel like. You don't have to ever use eject. The curated feature set is suitable for small and middle deployments. So what do we actually work on? What is public? Is this what the final project will be when we build it? I wonder. But source, I guess, is where we work in. I'm assuming right now. Okay. Wow, I feel very overwhelmed. So what references index.js? That imports index.cs. App.cs. App.js. That imports app.cs. Imports the logo, imports React from React. Hey Veroni! Index.js just renders React into the HTML. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to like figure all this hierarchy stuff. So what is app? So app is where I build stuff like I've been doing on FCC, right? Like where I render elements. Usually components are divided to components and containers. So it's app like that app is like the main thing, right? And then sub-components would be under that, which gets imported into app. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So index, these two things, index.css, index.js, these two things refer to the index.html eventually, right? Where this injects it. It renders the entire app into the root of the HTML file. What I'm really confused by, Riani, is just all of the node modules. It just feels so bloated. Like, where am I ever going to use these things? It's like just confused the hell out of me. I'm obviously going to ignore it, but what the fuck? Like, there's so much, and it took so long to install. And like, what does eject do? Will that end up removing the modules and just giving me like the cleaner version that I think it will? Most of them are used by React itself. Okay, if I end up using a feature like that. Okay, so you can't create the React app. Oh wait, are you telling me what I actually have now is the entire create React app, so I can actually create more React apps? And then it's not going to take that long to install every single time? I could just go and create a new app? And then here, the public. Is this when I've like built something? Do I use one of the commands and then my app ends up being in public? Because I assume public is what you'll end up seeing on the client side, right? Or am I a bit off there? Public is publicly available. Is that for the client side though? Has that got anything to do with what I'm working on? Because that's the root there that I see. You usually don't put anything there. Okay. So I work with the source. And then when I'm done, do I run like a command like build or whatever? Okay. And then it will output it where? Where would it output it? Would it output it into public or like someplace else? NPM start, right. No, I mean when I'm done and I have the board and I want to upload it or share it. And do I have to run npm start or can I use my live preview extension that I use? Or will that not be the same? I'm assuming it won't be, will it? Can I use my live server? Bernie? Don't know. Let's find out. Let's go live and try. Let's see what we get. So this is what we get. I wonder if public... Okay, there's nothing in public. Yeah, you can't really see anything, can you? Because where would you see it? You need the HTML... Yeah, it doesn't work. Okay, so we need to npm start. Let's go ahead and do that. Let me just shut this down. In our console, let's go npm start. Oops. npm start. There we go. Hey, look at us. We got our first React app. Isn't that crazy? Edit source app.js and save to reload. Okay. So app.js is where we're going to build our project and exciting stuff. Okay. So class name, app header. And leave those things for now. We're not going to need the logo. I'm going to like uncomment that out. Compiled with warnings. Why? Logo is defined but never used. Oh, this is so cool. It's even got a linter and everything. What? I forgot that I have ESLint. That's so cool. Where's logo? Oh, right there. So let's uncomment that as well. Okay, so what do we need to build? Look at our user stories. I could see a wrapper element with a corresponding ID of quote box. So we're going to need a div of quote box. What don't I need? I don't need any of this. I don't need the header. Actually, do I need an app? No. I'm going to keep that div though, that one div. Study logo. And we need an ID. So you have class name. Does ID work in React the same way that it does in HTML? Can I just go ID? I assume it's the same, right? So class name is obviously different, but ID should be ID, right? So we're going to have quote, was that hyphenated? Quote box? Yeah, it was. What do you need ID for? Because I'm building a project. And those are the requirements. They're called user stories, and we are following the requirements of the project. Within quote box, I can see an element with a corresponding ID of text. Okay, so we're going to need another div. Was that quote text? And we just feel free to point me out on things like I should be turning that into a module or stuff like that. I just want to get the basic stuff out of the way. Within quote box, I could see an element with a corresponding ID of author. Was it quote author or just author? Shit. Author. Install React DevTools and Redux DevTools at your browser. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Are those just plugins? Wait, we need quote, new quote and tweet quote. New quote and tweet. Did it say tweet? Tweet quote, yes. And then on first load, my quote machine displays a random quote in the element with ID text. So we're gonna render something. Wait, what? In the element. In which element? Oh, this was text. Hold on. It wasn't quote text, it was just text. That's why. So we got text, author, new quote, tweet quote, and that's it. And then on first load, my quote machine displays a random quote in the element with ID text. So I'm gonna like make a little reminder for myself. Those are extensions. First one allows you to look at React structures on your page, see props and state for every component. Second one allows you to track all of the changes in your Redux store. Okay, let me go grab that real quick. So React DevTools and Redux DevTools. Cool. Let's go install those. Hopefully they don't require a restart. Most don't. There we go. Installed. Great. So let's reload this. There's our render quote here. Oh, there it is. Nice. I'm gonna move this all the way this side. Actually, I'm gonna move it to the front. So there's our app. This was really useful. Thanks, Virani. I really appreciate it. I should probably zoom this in because most of you are not going to be able to see this. Oh, but I can't. Hold on. Can I zoom this in? Ooh, apathy. Ooh, no, I don't like that. Which is a nice dark one. Solarize. No, is it like a dark? Yeah, that. Ooh, but that text is hard to read there. Oh, and the props on the side? Yeah, I see that. Render quote here. That's a children. That's really cool. Only problem that I'm having is I can't zoom this in. So you guys aren't really... I can like zoom the actual... Like that's weird. It doesn't let you zoom in. Like, if I zoom here, do you see it changes everything? But I guess they didn't apply that same styling, so it doesn't allow you to zoom in. Hopefully that won't be an issue for you guys. No store found. I don't think I'm going to create a Redux store for this one. I think it should be quite basic, right? Maybe for the next ones. I don't think I'll need a store. There aren't going to really be state changes that I'm going to make. It's literally just going to be random quotes. My initial idea, what I wanted to do is create an API that will grab random quotes, but I don't think I'm going to do that. So let's Google inspirational quotes. Actually, list of inspirational. I might have to like clean it up and filter it out depending on the format that it's in. It's gonna be too much work to like get every single one of these. And a lot of these have like obviously garbage and ads in them. Look for inspirational quotes API. Yeah, good idea. And then just grab it once. Quotes.rest. That looks interesting. but I don't want to use it, you know what I mean? I want to like get a bunch of quotes and then save it locally in an array, because just in case, you know, the API goes down or something happens. What does quote list do? Gets the list of... Is this what I think it is? Is this a quotes? Put an error handling. Yeah, but I don't want to do that. I just want to have a bunch of quotes locally. So that's why I want a list of quotes. Just like 20 or 30 quotes. Wikipedia has an API apparently. How does that work? Where would you keep it? In an array. I don't know where I'll keep it, but the data will be in an array. Get the quote of the day. So there's the URL. Where's the quote? There it is. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. And that's the author. That will actually work for us, because then we have the author, because one of the things that we need is author and the quote. I assume tweet quote is where you will like do social media type thing and tweet the quote. This is good. And then we could just grab what we need. No token required. User session required. List of quotes. I think this will work, right? So if we just go quotes, access denied. Do we need to sign up? How does that work? Hey, Red 3000. We work on a random quote generator for the FCC project. I'm just trying to figure out if I have to sign up for this. Sign up for an account, visit your API keys page. Yeah, we have to sign up. Can I sign up through GitHub? No, I can't. I have to actually create a... Okay. Things we do for quotes, right? Okay, done. Got an account. And then we need to pass a token in. Which is on this page. Generate API key, there it is. And then what are the instructions on this? Where do I put my API key in? How does it work? Do you guys know how that normally works? Would you append it after quotes? Because it's not showing me. That's to get a quote ID. Because I want to run quotes. I've never worked with an API before. Authorization, there we go. An app is required to access our API except for the quote of the day. For authorization, you should pass your access token in via the header. So authorization token equal to your app token there. For example, curl authorization, that won't work. Do you guys know if there's a way I can do this in the browser? Have you learned how to create requests? Not yet. Using JS? No. You can use Postman? I remember people spoke about that before. Is that an extension that can run in the browser? Postman? Or is that something I'm gonna have to download and configure? That's an app? Okay, let me check quickly. Will that allow me to enter the API? That allows you to test APIs, right? If I remember correctly. Oh, it's web-based. Nice, even better. Of course, everything... Oh no, never mind. I thought it was web-based. I was like, yay, sign in! Nope. Okay, I'm just grabbing that and installing that. Okay. In the meantime, while that's going, I could do that another time. We're gonna fake quotes. So just correct me where I'm wrong, but this is what I want to do. It's going to be an array. So quote 1, you know, quote 2, etc. Do like quote 3. So that's going to be my quotes. I would keep them in your state and just choose one. So why do we want to keep it in our state? Is there a specific reason for that? And how would you do it? Because I don't want to use an API call just for reasons. Because it's like a functional app and I want it to work offline as well as part of the FCC project. So how would you do it? Would you have a separate like module for it? And I guess we're gonna have to create a... So we want to create a function, right? Called getQuote. Is that how we would do it? And then we render getQuote, which then renders a random quote, right? We need a return... Wait, do we have render... We don't render here, right? I'm confused now. We render an index. That renders the entire app, and then from app we have to render inside of app, and app doesn't have a render method yet, right? So we need to add that to app. That's not a React thing? What do you mean? What's not a React thing? That's not thinking React. What is? Or isn't? Everything you do here. Everything? How would you do it then? Because we've done that before. All getQuote will do is get a random quote from that and return that, and then you render that random quote as a component. You know what I'm talking about, right? Then I'll get like getQuote like that in the app. That's probably what I'm thinking about, right? A class. So this should be a class. Class getQuote, right? Oh, so you want to create a method. So getQuote will be a method, which will be a function, which will take something in, right? But then what do we call the class? Handle quotes? Like call it handle quotes, maybe? It's all good. I'm gonna look back in previous examples. The latest one that I did has all the stuff that I bought. Just need a refresher. Alright, class presentation extends. So we need to extend React component as well, don't we? Okay. We don't need React. I think we imported React, so just component. And we need a constructor that has super, that has a state. Right, so props. And that would have super props. Super props, and then we have a state there. Yeah, that's inside of the constructor, and then it's the render that we want. We need a render method. Will render something in there. Once I start working with this, then I think it'll get easier. And then that ends the entire class. There, cool. You're not doing this right. You're not explaining this right. I'm copying from the example that works. Okay, so render. We need to put something in here. Oh, but that would be app. Hold on. Which is the one? That is what's rendering my content over here on the right side. Thanks to presentational. And then presentational is a tag. When you call provider store, which would be a React app, pass in container. Do we need to import React component? So it doesn't automatically pull everything? Class app extends component. Oh, so we're going to do everything in app. So why did they have it as function then, instead of class? Is it normally a function? Depending on your use, then you change it to a class? Do I need class components then for what I want to do? Because obviously I'm just going based on what I've been taught so far. All that app does is just renders a bunch of other components. Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to do though. I don't need state or anything. Here where it says text, I want to literally render a component. So I would have like random quote, like that. You know what I mean? Is that how I do that? And then random quote is a component that gets a random quote. That was like my logic that I wanted to do. Is that wrong doing that? You don't need divs around that. No. I would need none of this. I would have the main thing. Technically, all of this could be in my handles quote class, couldn't it? So all I would have here is a single component called handle quotes. And then handle quotes will have like random quote inside of it and this and that. You know what I mean? Is that a better approach? So then we don't need a class, do we? How do we create a component again? Like, you know, the one where we have the tag with the open and close? Just tell me that. Instead of telling me what I should do, tell me what I need. So how do I make a component like that? You know what I mean? So that I can render that with the return from the render. Do I still need a class for that? Because I don't need state. I'm not going to need state. So I'm going to have that. Handle quotes. Okay. Do I still need to pass constructor with props even though I'm not going to use them? Created a function then? Instead of class. Right. So I don't call class then, right? It's just function handle quotes. Does it need to be capitalized because it's a component? Even though it's called a function, do we see it as a component? And we don't extend component, or do we? Oh, right. So const handle components equal to arrow function, right? Like that. Like that, right? Yeah. Cool. Then I need a render. Will I still have a render method? Whoa. Will I still have a render method? No, I won't. Oh. Right, I get it. So when I call handle quotes as like the component, it will return whatever's in the return. There are no methods in functions, right. Gotta remember that. Okay, so that's when I'd use the class. Can this return another function? And you return JSX. Alright, so that return, right? We can use math.random, I think. And we can use normal JavaScript in this before the return. So we could probably do quotes dot for each quote. You understand that every time component is re-rendered. Which component? You mean app? You're gonna have to specify. handle quotes? Yeah, I have. And I'm really glad that you're this advanced, but you got to remember that I'm not, and that's okay. Now I'm gonna have to take it slow and make tons of mistakes, and instead of correcting me, it's better to have me make them so that I can learn them, instead of being afraid to do anything. If you read my article, you know what I mean. So we're just gonna build, and then when we figure out we're doing it wrong, we're gonna change it. But for now, from what I remember, every time it calls handle quotes, we're gonna get a random quote, and then in the return, we're gonna return that random quote. So that's what I want to do right now. Let me just see what quote is. Return nothing now. So here in handle quotes, before return, everything will be executed. What? So here in handle quotes, before return, everything will be executed every time component is updated or re-rendered. Yeah, that's fine. We need to get a random quote every time. Yeah, I know. I would have that somewhere else if I didn't need that, but in this case we do need it to update every time because we must get a random quote each time. I forgot I also can't use console log here. I'm so used to the browser now. Hold on. Where's my web page? Quote 1, quote 2, quote... Yeah, there we go. So that worked. We got the 3 quotes. Great. Now we need to math.random it. I need only 1 quote. Wait. I don't need quote for each. I don't need that. Is it quotes? Yeah, it is quotes. Math.random. I'm trying to think now. We're gonna... You asked me how I'd do it. Do you still need my answer? Yeah, I'd love to know how you would do it. And then compare. I'm just figuring out math.random is going to return a number between 0 and 1, so I'm going to have to multiply that by the length. Do some maths first. We're going to probably have to get quotes.length. I'm just typing this out to figure out how I'm going to do this. So quotes.length is going to be 3 in this case. And math.random starts from 0. We times it by length. So math.random. So we do math.random, right? Times quotes.length. Plus 1, and we're gonna have to do math.floor. Oopsie. Math.floor So math.floor, math.random times quotes.length plus 1. Oh wait, we don't want to do plus 1, because then that's gonna start our index at 1. We want to start at 0. So between 0 and 3. So we got 0, we got 1, we got 1, we got 0. Is it ever gonna go up? Hold on. 2? So getting to 3 is gonna be nigh impossible, isn't it? Because of the way that it works. We need a better method. Let's think. We can iterate through an object array. Is there a better way that you know, Virani, to get a random one back instead of using math.random? Because we're never going to get 3. It's going to be, yeah, the way it works. So if the app is really simple, I'd create an app class extends component and then initialize state with your quotes and then create a method to get a random quote and then render this quote a button to choose another quote which would on-click or that random quote method. More complicated, if it's more complicated, separate it into different components in different files and include them into app. Math.random is your way to go, as far as I know. Yeah, but we're never gonna get 3. That poor quote at the end. You know what I mean? There was that true random, I've worked on it before, that you can import. It's a JavaScript library. But I want to try use as little as possible. So this is basically what I would do, Virani. I would stick this in there. And then what I'll do is console.log random quote to give me a random quote each time. So that when we reload this, we get quote 2, we get quote 1, we get quote 1, you know what I mean. We are probably need, if we're using state, store the previous one so that it doesn't show it again if it's used that quote again. You have how many quotes in your array? Right now I only have 3. It would be nice to have a system in place where we're not repeating the quotes. So we would need a check to know that if the quote hasn't been repeated in the last X tries, then you can show that quote. How can you get 3 then? Oh, right, right. You're right. 0, 1, 2. I'm doing times quotes.length, which is, the length is 3. So the number is 0 times 3. So it's between 0 and 3. So you think I should do quotes.length minus 1? Is that what you mean? No. Yeah, but if it works correctly... Oh, that was weird. I wasn't getting quote 3 before, but now I am. Now I'm not getting quote 2. It gives you the index of your quote. Yeah, yeah. Exactly, that's why I did it that way. Was I? I probably just wasn't paying attention, my bad. Okay, so now that we have that, I can chuck in like more quotes. My quotes, aren't they amazing? The hell? Why is it bugging out? Oh, we're missing one there. There you go. You just mix quote numbers with indexes. No, I mixed the math up. Length of an array will not be 0 indexed. Arrays are 0 indexed. So our length is 3, but we only go up to 0, 1, 2. I didn't mix that up. Yeah, I know, but for some reason my ESLint is correcting this to double quotes. I don't know why. Apparently it's the preferred way. I always use single quotes for JavaScript. All my projects use single quotes. So it's strange. No idea why it's doing that. So yeah, right now there's no need for React, is there? Because this is literally a normal function. There's nothing React about it. Right now, as things stand. The only difference would be now I can go ahead and... Can I do handle quotes like I wanted to? And this is obviously going to have to be higher up than app, isn't it? App needs to be the last one. Otherwise it can't get the data and render, can it? So now I should be able to, in the quote, let's comment this out just temporarily. I wouldn't do it like this, but just obviously example. I would be able to do handle quotes, right? Would I be able to do that? And then I just need to return random, whoops. Do I have to use JSX for that? Like that? Return random quote? Yeah. Objects are not valid as a React child. If you meant to render a collection, use an array.
This world has room for everyone. Good Earth is rich. It can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful.
Hold on, chat messed up your formatting. Oh, you want a paragraph tag. So when I return it, so p random quote, then I have to put those in, that's what you meant, right? Like that. Right? And then I could just handle quotes. Oh, there you go. Quote 3, quote 3, quote 4. But you see, we're getting a lot of repeats. So I want to make a system where we don't repeat the quote. Okay, we're getting somewhere. But now... I can group it like this, can't I? Yeah, that works. No! I want it like that. And then all of this should move into there, don't you agree? So we have everything there. And then this is going to be the new quote that we needed. Then inside of that is going to be the random quote. Then close that div up. Div. You can't return multiple things. But you can't return a... Oh. So this is what I'm trying to do. It can have children, but there should be a high... Yeah, but what I'm saying is the div is the parent and everything else is a child. Will that not work? Because I'm returning the div object. You know what I mean? I'm returning the quote box. Okay, yeah, that's what I mean. I know I can't return multiple items. I must return a parent with children, but there would be a parent with children. Is that everything? Text, author. Do we have tweet quote in there? We don't. The tweet quote goes there, and then the final div. So we take all of that out. And the only thing that we're returning is, well, handle quotes, yeah. I wouldn't do it like this, honestly. Let's React. It'll get the job done. Good for now. Later on we can do more advanced things. You want me to do things that I have no idea to do. So unless you want to sit here and chat and like spoon feed me. Components usually do one thing at a time. Yeah, because modularity, right? Let's say we had more advanced things. How would we break this down? So this component's sole job is to handle quotes. And all it will do is find a random quote and then render out. Oh, so you mean instead of doing author, text, quote box and all that, all it should do is return new quote. Is that what you mean? So it's good as what it's doing, but we should only be rendering that new quote div. Everything else should be handled somewhere else. Is that what you mean? You're not sure anymore? Because all of this relates to just one thing, which is a quote. It's going to be a quote box that's going to have text and author. In fact, actually, it's not going to go in new quote. My bad. This actually goes in text. My bad. That's how that works. You didn't see the requirements. Okay, no problem. So text is there. Then we need to get an author. Then these are buttons, I think. New quote. When you click it, you'll get a new quote, and then tweet. So this might end up turning into a class as we get more in depth with this. Because we're gonna need a on-click handler and whatnot. And then same for tweet quote. So that's why I like building it, and the moment it starts going out of scope of what we need, then we're gonna branch it out. We don't need any of these anymore. So that should theoretically be the same. So we got quote 2, quote 2, quote 3, quote 4. We got to handle duplication. So that would probably be in our state. But for now, let's emulate state by... Oh, you know what I just realized, Verani? This is why state will end up being so important, because now I wanted to store a previous value, but because this is a component, it's not going to remember the previous value. Unless it was a global variable, how's it going to know what the previous quote was? So because of state, I can store what the previous quote was, then compare it to that, and if they're exactly the same, generate a new random quote. Or keep generating a quote until we get a new random quote that isn't the same as state. Yeah. See, that's where it ends up becoming more complex. Okay, so do we go and turn this back into a class now? That extends component? Do we, or what do we do? I need state in here now. We can't add state to this currently as it is, can we? So we need class handle quotes. Are we still extending component? I don't want to separate things right now, Verani, as much as you want to. It's going to be easier for me to work in everything in one file. So I know where everything is. I know why you want to do it, but I don't want to separate things right now. And in any event, I'm not going to be able to work with separate files because the requirements are to have everything in a code pen, so everything's going to be in one file. You know what I mean? So this has to be a CodePen project, but I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate the fact that I'm not working on CodePen. So we're extending components, so we need to import, right? But why do we have to import component like that? Why can't we just import, you know what I mean, component? Because it's not a default export. Okay. So we got extends component, then we need a constructor which takes props, and then super props. Then we have state, right? Let's just turn this into a class first. But then you should extend React.com. You can omit importing. Okay, so yeah, so if I want to call React, so it's one or the other. If we end up making a lot of components, then it'll make sense doing that. Okay, let's just get this working quickly. So we would turn random quote into a method now, wouldn't we? That would be the best thing, right? What is random quote doing? It's... We can technically keep this as is, right? Well, actually no, it's complaining. You can't have a constant in a class, Barani? Really? You can't? So you can't have variables in a class? It should be a method. Interesting. So it'd have to be random quote. Do we turn that into a... That's a function, right? I'm messing this up royally, aren't I? Are we doing get quote now? So get quote... Oh, you mean this one? Get quote. Right, we don't use that. So that returns, we return quotes from that. So when you call get quote, you're gonna get a random quote, correct? Oh, depending on if we want to do arrow function or not. Or get quote equal to... This one seems neater than the arrow function, doesn't it? You're typing in less. Oh, but do you have to type in function? Do I have to type in function get quote? No, I don't need to, right? Because then in this case it's shorter than the arrow function. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna need state now. Let me figure out state again. State. But this is with Redux, so we're not gonna use Redux. Let me see if I still have your... No, I don't. That is oop. Hold on. Oh god, you have too many things called state. Let's just go find it manually. State. This is why I said you must break it down into headers. And you can easily find it, like Wikipedia. So it's this dot state, right? That's all we have. So this dot state, and then we're gonna have previous quote. It's gonna be an empty string. Do we have a return in the class? Can't remember. Someday I'll create a content thing. It's only gonna benefit me, but it's gonna make things so much easier, and then you could like stop raging. Oh, we do have a render in a class. Yeah, we do. Render parentheses. So render parentheses return. Oh, because I don't have a render method. So get in there, and then what are you part of? You part of that. So like that, right? Now I can stop complaining. Random quote is not defined. Yeah, we'll sort you out later. Relax. We're getting there now. So now we can store previous quote in state. But this is really bothering me. Why is my ESLint? It is running. ESLint, why do you want double quotes? You used to love single quotes. Now you're just like, oh, we can sort that out later. It's not a problem. Not a big deal right now. This dot get quote. Oh right, we're not gonna have quotes in there now. I think we're gonna have quotes. Do I have a global config? Yeah, I do. I'll sort it out later. Don't worry about that. We need quotes in state now, I think. What do you think? So we have quotes. That was just an example. The quotes is gonna be in quotes is gonna be in state, and previous quotes gonna be in state. But you're worrying. Stop worrying. It's just double quotes. It's not gonna kill you. Let me actually load up my my previous project to see if it's gonna do the same. What did we work on before? Projects, 100 days of log formatter, JS. So if it fucks this up for me, I'm gonna be so pissed. You can see I always worked in single quotes. Let me put double quotes in and see what it does. It's not correcting it. Weird, I think something went down. Or Prettier is messing up or something. You think that Create React can mess with settings? Probably, because look, it's like literally not even doing anything. Strings must use single quote. No, there you go. And they had saved it. No, it's fine. My project is fine. It's probably React doing something weird. I don't know, but like I said, don't worry about that. So we got quotes in state. We got previous quote in state. Now we need to... The moment we find a quote... Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Random quote is going to be a constant. And that's going to be that, right? Then we're going to return... First we need to make sure... First we need to make sure that we're not returning a quote that we returned before. Why do I do this? Because I'm going to have to do some logic check now. And this needs to be this dot quotes dot length. Yeah, to update state, exactly. So we do a if. There also is React specific stuff. I remember them. I just can't remember off the top of my head, but you like can compare the prop to the... I don't think we need to do that, do we? So if this dot state dot quotes is equal to the random quote that we want to do. But how do we like generate another random quote? Well, we could do a while loop, right? Oh, hold on. Yeah, you're right. This dot state. That's what I meant. Why a while loop? Because how are we gonna... This is gonna generate an initial random quote, right? Then we need to check, is that quote the same as the one we have in previous quote? How do we generate another one if it is the same? Just have a function. Okay, so we're gonna need a new function. So we should create a new function, a new method basically, right? Up here. Well, I mean, how else are we going to do it? We're going to have to rename our methods because they don't make sense right now. But this is going to be called random quote, and it's going to return. It's going to return that. That's all it's going to do. So it's going to return this.state.quotes. It's going to get a random quote basically. We call that get random quote. Then this needs to be renamed, but what that's going to do is basically if this dot random quote, if the state quote is the same, hold on, if this dot state dot previous quote is equal to, we need to call this on it, don't we? This dot get random quote. Wait, did my thing say something? It's not defined yet, did. I love that. So this dot get random quote. Then hold on. What's the logic that we're gonna need here? If they're the same, then we need to do it again. Ah, but yeah, then you might have to do recursive, wouldn't you, Verani? Because what if it's the same again? That's why I said a while loop. Because while they're not the same, the moment we get a one that's not the same, then return. Because otherwise I do an if and I do this check again, and what if it's the same? You know what I mean? How would you handle that then? You get where I'm coming from, right? Let me remove this. So you would have like a while. I misspelled that on purpose because I really don't need an infinite loop. So while these two things are the same, we're gonna call get random quote, and actually we're gonna need a variable here, random quote equal to get random quote. You don't like it. You really don't like it. Well, I'm waiting for you to give me a solution. Until you do, I'm gonna come up with my own solution. So that becomes that. So while this dot state the previous quote is the same as the random quote, we update random quote with a new call to get random quote. And then eventually it's not going to be the same, and then we can return random quote. Okay? If you have a better solution, give it to me. Oops, this. I need to get used to writing this, but I guess the more I do this, the better it will be. Random quote is a constant. No constant assign. Why? Oh, you know what's happening? I think it has its own ESLint, Verani. No constant assign. Oh, never mind. That is mine. You shouldn't be assigning to a constant. So we just don't use a constant. We use let then. There we go. So that's what I've come up with. If you have a better way, let me know. I'll gladly do it. I mean, it works. So long as the quote that we got generated is the same as previous quote. And let's maybe change the logic around. Let's turn it to this way. So while random quote is the same as this.state the previous quote, we update random quote to this.get random quote. And then we assume that because we broke out of the loop, because they don't match, the quote that we got is a new quote. So then we return random quote. Now, how do we render, Virani? In here, I just call, is that, how do I get quote? It's not this, is it? Or is it? Is it that? Sorry, I'm a little bit confused. If I have a method called getQuote, is that how I'd get the value in my return? This. This. Oh, so you mean I don't do that at all? So it's just this dot get quote, but in JSX or what? Is it a function call? Do I need to include those? Probably, yeah. Okay, let's see what we have now. Where's our page? There it is. Yeah, I already got that. Okay, it's working, but we didn't... Oh! I ran out of memory, but I don't know if that's because of my fault or due to the fact that I have so many things running in the background. Do you have a solution for me? Oh, version 67 of Firefox has been released. That is the one with the new the DOM editors and the CSS editors. You'll be able to see how Flexbox works now. Yes! Finally! You have vague thoughts? Okay, well, you know, I love how you like shitting on the idea, but you don't even have a solution. I have a vague idea, but I'm not sure I'm capable of putting it together. So if you're not even capable and you have more experience than me, how? Like, this is why I love your logic. It's like, I don't think I can do it, but you should do it. The one with less experience. Oh, you mean you're tired right now? Okay, so you would know how if you had some sleep. Okay, okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I thought you were referring to the fact that you can't do it. Yeah. I'm sure there's like built-in React methods that I would have to look at that compares state. I know there was something with props, like you pass in a prop. We did prop comparison before, so maybe something on that regard, I'm not sure. And the while shouldn't take long, because the more quotes we have, it should be pretty instant. Telstara, hey, thank you for the follow, I really appreciate it. Good to have you. The while loop should never run longer than like a fraction of a millisecond, because the more quotes we have, the odds of it pulling the same quote twice in a row is like very unlikely. But in the event that that were to happen, that's the whole reason why we have this handling, because we don't want to display a quote twice. The thing that we need to do now is we also need to update state. We're not updating state, so we need to this dot it's this. No, it's set state. Wait, so confused now. Was it this dot set state? Yeah, it was this dot set state. So this dot set state, and then I could do quotes, right? Previous quotes, and then the value, right? Or wait, I'm missing something. Hold on. This dot set state. Oh, it's an object? It expects an object. Okay. But if I pass previous quotes like this to it, is it gonna wipe quotes? Or is it only gonna update previous quotes? Okay, so only what it found. Go update previous quote. Okay, cool. So then we need to update it with random quote. Now I can't. Can I? Oh, I can do it that way. I don't need JSX inside of this. So confusing. Right. The render method you need JSX. So just like that. So then previous quote will get updated. Sweet. Guess who's having the new Firefox? So excited. Oh my god. Firefox version 67. I feel like you call inside of render. Yeah. Yeah, but you don't do it outside of render, because there you can use normal JavaScript. Oh, you mean I'm referring to JSX, right. Rename this to portable. Okay, that's JSX. Is that the only JSX? Look, look, look! Look what's happening! Monitor. Ooh. Firefox is growing, eh? The biggest thing that I wanted to see was... Let's go to one of our projects that we did. Let's look at our own project. What was it? GitHub.io. So with the new Firefox version, there's some new things that we can do. That's still the same. What has changed? Supposed to be something new. I have to go look it up. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Where's our project? This one. Maximum update depth exceeded. This can happen when a component repeatedly calls set state inside component will update or component did update. React limits the number of nested updates to prevent infinite loops. Ooh, okay, so it helped us. Because we got it. But it's outside of the while. How are we doing it an infinite amount of times? Line 32? Oh. Oh, so we're gonna need another component that gives us this value. So that we can just stick that value in there, essentially, right? Right. Technically, this can all be inside of get random quote, and then let's bring this into get random quote. That would make sense. This dot get quote. Okay, easier. Make it look better. Yeah, okay. So you'd have a constant over here. And then just update this dot get quote inside of a render. But before it returns. We need this dot quote text. No, don't we? Okay, never mind, yeah. And then that goes there. That should be better, right? No? You need to rewrite get quote. Keeps on going. But it shouldn't. How does it keep on going? So long as there's a match between the two, get a new random quote. And then eventually, once it got it out of that loop, it sets the state to the random quote that it got. And then we return random quote. What am I missing that keeps on going? Oh, because it's in render, right? Yeah, the component cycle. Render every time something changes. I think it's because it's in render, isn't it? This variable is gonna call get quote every time anything changes, right? So it's because it's in render that it's an infinite loop right now, isn't it? It should be, but the problem is in your set state and the whole get quote method. I don't know. This while loop does exit. Because else it would never set state. And it would never return. Let's test if that is true. There's a simple way. Render quote as a method. And all it does is has a constant called quote text, and it calls this, or actually we just return this dot quote text, right? And then we render quote. Right? Oh, but that's gonna update each time as well. Yeah, I see what you mean. I'm gonna have to work on that. It's the virtual DOM right now. So the root never loads. So yeah. Okay. It's the way that we're calling this. Oh, this is gonna be a headache and a half. What is handle quotes? Oh no, that is fine. Yeah, Verani, do you mind if I send this to you on a code pen, and then when you get a chance you can just let me know when you're a bit rested. And I'll also try to figure it out in the morning when I'm a bit rested. But I have a feeling because state constantly changes under render, we keep re-rendering. How do we normally do it? We render a variable. That variable must never change. You know what I'm thinking, Verani? We should set that quote in state. The random quote should be stored in state. Do you agree? Instead of having it in a variable, the moment we get the random quote, instead of storing it in a variable, we should store the random quote that we're going to use in the state. So you got quotes, you got random quote, and then you got previous quote. I think that might be the go-to. What do you think? So we update random quote with random quote. The only problem now that I'm thinking of is before we do any of this, set state needs to set previous quote to random quote. To whatever it is right now. So before we even do anything, we need set state and random quote, sorry, previous quote needs to be this dot state dot random quote. And if it's empty, well then it's empty. So that's how we get the previous quote. And then here, all we're doing is random quote is set to random quote. Well, we're updating it. And then we don't return anything here. And then I don't think we need this. In here, we just need to know this dot state dot random quote. If I'm not mistaken. Well, we're not getting an error anymore, but we're not getting anything either. Sees it. There's handle quotes. Quotes array 5. So there was... It sees that. But... yeah. Okay. Okay, back to the drawing board. What are we missing? This dot state dot random quote. It should have something. Oh, hold on. What is calling get quote? Nothing is calling get quote. How would we normally call a function that we need only once? The only way that I can think of is like doing get quote like that. You know what I mean? I need it to run once. That's life cycles again. Think. This .state.random quote is going to be blank, obviously. And how I know that is because if I put test in here, we're going to see test in the browser. There you go. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. We just need... What if we call get quote now? We need a component. I want to like render the component in here. Random quote. How did we have it before? What was that? Irani? How can I call get quote once? Because right now it works as it should, but nothing is running it. So it can't update the random quote, so I can't update the state. Would I have to create a component that calls get quote and then return the component instead of this div? I want this functionality. Random quote. I want that. And then random quote is this. But it calls get quote. Essentially I needed to do this, but it's not updating because nothing is running get quote. But all text has to do is call this .state.random quote. Then it will get the random quote it needs. But right now nothing is running get quote. Make a button. No, but it has to be on initialization. So the moment the page loads, you need a random quote. The button is going to obviously change get quote each time. Yeah, that's fine. We need a random quote to display. Component did mount. Alright. Where would you put that? In the render? Let me check that out quickly. There we go. It's a method. Also, I have that part of my lifecycle method. Yeah. Component did. There it is. Okay, so I have that as part of the below the okay. Okay, let's see how that works. I just have it here literally, and then call get quote like that. This .get quote. Why do you set state twice? Because the first time, the moment you get into get quote, I'm setting the previous quote to the random quote, so we know what the previous one is, because later in set state we're overwriting random quote with the new random quote, and we don't know what previously the random quote is. So the moment we get into get quote, we need to set previous quote to if there is anything in random quote. Okay, essentially we should get a random quote then. There we go. It's working. Oh, we should never see quotes in duplication. Two, 1, 4, 2, 4, 2. Hold on. That was a duplicate right there. Did you see that? Why can't you set previous quote in the end? Hold on, can I? Oh, I can. I don't know. It's probably late, and I'm can't I? Yeah, don't mind me. Only problem now, Veroni, did you see that? I'm pretty sure that quote 2 was displayed twice. How is that possible? Previous quote is this.state.random quote. So if that was set to quote 2, then the while random quote is equal to this.state.previous quote, which is quote 2. I shouldn't be checking previous quote now, do I? Why do you need to separate random quote and previous quote? So that I can compare the two? But I just realized now, this was before we had state, remember? We just added state in now. So now I can just compare random quote to this.state.random quote, right? And then all we do is random quote is updated to random quote, right? Yeah. So all we need is random quote and we update it to random quote. This.state.random quote. Okay, so we don't need previous quote anymore. We just have random quote. And then this needs to be component did mount, so that should update. Cool. See what happens now. Remove random quote. Remove duplication. How is that duplication? So if I saw this before, if we have the variable name and the property name the same, does it technically see it as random quote as the property and random quote as the value? Is that what it's doing in the background? ES6. No, I don't remember that. Never worked with that. Okay. So if the property name is the same as the variable name, you only need to have one of them. That's cool. I've seen it in FCC, they just didn't explain it. Okay, let's count now if it actually works. Quote 4, quote 2, quote 4, quote 2, quote 1, quote 4. Can we get quote 5? There's 3. That looked like double quote 4. Did you see that? Yeah, no, you didn't explain it to me. Quote 4 just happened twice. Could have been like an oddity in the refresh, but I'm pretty sure that just happened twice. How can this while fail? Random quote. So as long as quote 2 is equal to quote 2, get a new random quote. And then it's going to come back. And then it's going to be quote 2 equal to quote 1 as an example. They're not the same. Break the loop. And then set random quote to the value of what random quote is, which broke the loop in the first place. I mean, it's better than before, but was it just me? Let's try it again. Quote 1, quote 5, quote 4. You know what I'm thinking it is, actually, Virani? You know what it potentially could be? We're reloading the page every time. And that means that we always started with blank and then we got into this. If we have a button, and because we're destroying state every time we reload the page, state gets wiped. On page reload, random quote is empty. That's why. That is why we have the chance to get a duplicate. That makes sense now. That makes absolute sense. So we need a button now, and then we won't get any duplications. So this is where the button's going to be. Gonna have to like pretty this up at some point. So you click new quote, and it's gonna have on click. We're gonna have to call a like handle click method. It's gonna be this dot handle click, isn't it? And then we need to bind this, don't we? Do we do it in here? It's inside of the constructor still that we bind, right? So this dot handle click equal to this dot handle click dot bind this, right? And then we need a handle click method. Why? What do you mean why? You can just call get quote. Oh, I guess I'm just used to handling clicks. See, I'm trying to remember the things that I've been taught, and the only way to remember is by doing. So we would have created a handle click and then binding. But at least I remember that, at least, right? So we just do this dot get. Okay, now Virani, just help me because I always get confused. Is it this dot get quote, or is it this dot get quote with the parentheses? Because it's a function you call with the parentheses, but I've been so confused with JSX. Sometimes, like when you're binding, you do this dot handle click instead of this dot handle click, and I'm like so confused. Why is it this dot handle click without the parentheses and not this dot handle click? Oh, because you would be calling the function itself instead of assigning the function. Right, okay, I think I just answered myself. Oh, no, that... We broke something. Oh, you see, that's what I'm telling you about. That's what I was asking you about. So this will repeatedly call it every time, whether there's a click or not. How does that work if it's assigned to on click? If you put... Oh, you call it. Is that true always? Is that always the case? Alright, that's why I never did, when I call these functions, I don't have that. Okay. I guess I'm used to the other language I was working in, Papyrus. So it's just this .get quote. Okay. Oh! This is undefined. So the moment we click it, we break it. Why? This, the get quote. How does that work? So we find, then we click the button, and then we break it. Bind this. In here. Like this. There we go, yeah. Now we should never get duplicates. Yay! Look at that! We got a basic quote thingy. It's not pretty, but we got the logic behind it. And then make it pretty will be the easy part. No, I just gotta use Postman to get the quotes. From that API. Or spend a bit of time copy pasting manually. I don't need that many. Let's think you have 20, maybe 50. Let's see. Thank you for the help, Virani. I really appreciate it. I don't need the logo anymore. So the app.css is where I'm going to do all my styling. And put everything in there. The JS is what makes it all work. Yeah, okay, here's what I will do. I'll see if I include the API. The point is it's a simple project. And I want it to work whether you have access to the API. What if my key is revoked? What if you're offline? You know what I mean? I'd rather just have... If this was a real world project, then yes, I would be using an API. But it's not. It's just a simple project. So I'm the one that thought of the API in the first place. But I would have used the API just to get me the quotes for the first run so I can use them locally in an array. So this is where they'll be. They'll be in state. So if this was Redux, how would Redux benefit us? From what I can tell, it wouldn't really benefit us, would it? Or do you think it might? We're not like passing things to other components. Yeah, it wouldn't benefit us. Okay. Well, I think this is good progress. When you have access to state from multiplayer, yeah, exactly. I think this is good progress for now. What I want to do tomorrow is... You know what I really want, Virani? So you can feel free to message me afterwards. But I want this to be a parent with children. And instead of them being direct divs like they are now, I want to basically return things like... quote and author and text, you know what I mean? That's what I want. So that this thing looks a bit neater, and then these things are all modular, which you can go and edit them separately. How would I go about doing that? Would I create components underneath here? Because I think that would look a bit neater than the way it looks now. Or you create... But how would I do it the way that I just showed you? Would I create a component? You don't need components there. Don't you think it would look neater though? I don't know, just seeing all this HTML here it's a bit much. You know what I am referring to, right? So where you would have my app and then children underneath it, and then it returns that. Where's app? Here's app. It returns handle quotes. You see what I mean? It just returns this entire class. Oh, so I'd need a new class. That's what I'd need. You think it's a bit overkill? Okay. Don't you think this HTML is a bit too much though? You don't think this is a bit much? Wait, so a component is when you do the const thing, right? That one. Where you could set something and it has a return value. That's not a component. Because I've seen it used that way. Because then you can call my component... What do you call these things then? when you call them in tags, HTML tags. Because you can call them like that from a constant. I have done it on FCC. It is a component. Okay. So it's just another type of a component. I'll get the hang of it and the terminology the more I work with it. Then I'll be like, oh, okay, right, this is a component, this is that, this is that. That's why I need a build. Remember, this is the first project I'm actually building in React. I've not built anything in React. All it has been is just reading text and like solving stuff that's already been done. It's all React components. Class handle quotes is a component. Okay. And this down here, this thing here, is also a component, right? Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. I see what you mean. So this would just be for the quotes thing. If I had a main menu, then I would like have menu and then quotes nested under that, and then this nested under that, etc. I'm really happy, like, wow. For a first time at React, like, we're actually doing it. Yeah, I'm a different believer, Virani. That's why you're like, whoa, you've done so many things and moved so fast, not because I read things, but because I built things. Like, there are different types of people. Some people like to read and watch videos, and they learn. I can't learn like that. I have to learn by building things and making mistakes. It's the only way I learn, because then I get an understanding, because I'm like, okay, that doesn't work. We did not do it that way. Let's not do it that way again. And then what works, I remember it far better. I'm like, oh, right. Like, that's how I remember the whole bind thing. Not because I read it, because like every time it didn't work, and I was like, okay, that's how you did that. You can build by referring. Yeah, well, that's what I do. When I'm trying to figure out a new thing, then I Google what the thing is that I'm trying to do. So are you still unhappy with the while loop that we have here? I'm gonna have to look at React like built-in methods to see if there's something that can handle that. But this ended up becoming much neater, didn't it? And thanks to state, because if we didn't have state, we wouldn't be able to refer to the previous one. Yeah, no, I know that, but I mean, do you have a better way for the while method? Like, is there a better way to, so long as random quote is the same as the generated quote, give us a new quote? Because we still, obviously that's the logic that we need. You just like using while in general. Okay, well, if you figure something different out, let me know. Otherwise it ends up being a debate of like using semicolon versus not using semicolon. Someone doesn't use it because of the fear that it could break things, but if it's done correctly then it won't break things. So long as this while condition ends up terminating, there's no need to there's no need to fear it. You just gotta rename this now. That's get random quote. That's get quote. So it's a bit odd. We need to name it something else. That's get. Isn't that set? It's more like a set. It's like a get and a set, isn't it? Because that's updating. It's updating state with the random quote. So set random quote maybe? I know it's not a getter and a setter, but I mean what it's doing. that gets a random quote. And that updates state with the random quote. What I'm saying, I just don't like the way it's named right now, because get random quote and get quote. No, I know it's not a getter and a setter. I just need to name it better. That gets a random quote, that's fine. This doesn't really get a quote. It checks that the previous quote's not the same as the next quote, then it updates state. So that's why I want to call it set random quote. Unless I can think of like a better name. But it's definitely not get quote, because that's get quote or get random quote. Why not put them in the same function? I didn't want it to be too long. I broke them up. I wanted to do that earlier, didn't I? Because then you just replace let random quote with the with this super long thing over here. So then that ends up being that. And then, how about our while condition? While random quote is equal to this dot state dot random quote is equal to I wanted to do something else back then. Yeah, true. Like this is the example of where like your requirements change and then your code has to adapt. But if I do it this way, right? What do I do in here? I can't just call random quote. It's not going to call random quote again. Because it's not repeating the function. So random quote would have to basically be in the while loop, but if it was, then it wouldn't have anything to refer to. You would need two different variables, wouldn't you? Do you see what I mean? But we'll see if we can like... It always ends up looking like spaghetti code, but then eventually we'll neaten it. I don't think it looks that bad. And that's pretty much all the logic we need. All we needed is a new quote. And to generate a new quote, let's check the requirements. That's easy. Like all of this is easy. This is what I love, when I get to the point where I can just look at something and I'm like, oh yeah, that's easy. All of this is easy. The hardest part was just generating the random quote. You could just put it inside, it will still calculate the condition. Really? But have it as a let. Oh, because it updates each time you run. No, what I'm saying is, in the previous language that I had, if I put random quote inside this while, how is it going to use the condition? If the condition that it needs is inside itself. That didn't work in the language that I used. I needed the variable outside. You know what I mean? So if I move this inside of that, how is random quote going to be accessed if it's inside? You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I got confused. There's two of you. Jarnin, how's it going? Oh my god, I need to get a different like chat editor. Because right now I see all of you as the same purple Twitch icon, and the only thing that changes is names. But since Virani is so active, I think I just automatically assumed it's Virani. How's it going, Jarnin? Hope you're well. So you were saying why not put in the same function, right? Virani was saying it's fine. Otherwise it sounds like Virani's contradicting himself. Put in the same function. No, I think it's fine. You don't need to define it out the while loop. Yeah, you can just put it inside. Oh, you're both agreeing and then you both realize you can't. Okay. Or is this Virani's other, like, subconscious? Virani got so tired he just phased out of existence. His state updated. Yeah. But if any of you figure out a better way of doing the while loop, let me know. All I need is to ensure that the random quote that we generated is not the same as the random quote in our state. That's literally the only functionality I need. And if the quote that we have is not equal to the quote in our state, then we can update our state to the new random quote. And that's literally all we're doing. But yeah, I'm happy with the progress so far. And I'm gonna end things off for now. And then tomorrow, yeah, all of this is easy. We just gotta figure out how to style it. I could probably use the little model box that I have from my previous project, because they have a pretty fancy one. So we need to make ours look a little bit fancy. And theirs took a while to load, which is weird. And this is all easy, like with CSS, you just make it look pretty and whatever. That's not hard to do. Why is there a Tumblr button? Is this how old it is? I didn't see a requirement for a Tumblr button. Damn, we've come far. Is Tumblr still a thing? So they get a new quote. And then the background changes color with that. Like a little bit of a mess on my eyes, but the one thing I don't like is like the changing quote box. Like, it's a bit jarring when it just snaps to a different size. Might just be me. But I like it when it stays the same like that. So I might have a fixed width. That just pulls me out of it every time it resizes. Ooh, I like the dark one. Yeah. So we'll play around with that tomorrow. That's a job for tomorrow. So I'm gonna end things off, and I'm gonna do something that I keep forgetting to do, and that is raiding people. Like, I have viewers and then I don't pass them on. So we're gonna find someone that's also doing something similar, and we're gonna give them some love. Jonan, thank you so much for the follow. Do you guys want to watch ducks, by the way? I could drop you off with some ducks. Why is that even a thing? Oh, no. Hold on. Is my buddy streaming? I don't think he is. Okay, so these are all game dev. We want to focus on someone that's got less viewers than me. Give them some love because they deserve it. It's a lot of game dev, wow. Do we have anyone? There we go. WordPress coding. There's an option. Oh, someone's doing free code camp. Okay, so let's drop you off all there. And thank you to everyone that came by and offered your support. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And hopefully I'll see you in the next stream. Let us drop a raid. And there we go. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.